second is Doppelgänger by Peaer. This was the winner of our poll on Instagram, so thanks to everyone for voting. It was my pick, so I'll kick off with this one. I sort of mentioned the kind of paucity of albums to pick from in January, which sort of led me on a bit of a trail of just looking on Wikipedia at what was being released and making a playlist basically of ones which seemed like they might be of interest. And this through doing that playlist, it was the Peaer, I think I'm saying it right, because they've got a picture of a pear on their Instagram.
I mean, it's better than Peaer, which is what I've been calling.
Yeah, well, when I first read it, I was thinking Peaer, which doesn't sound as nice. But I'll try and go with their wish and the pear emoji. So but yeah, when I was doing that, there was other albums it could have been for this, but it was their tracks leading up to Doppelgänger which really drew me back in, and I thought it was worth enough to at least put it into the poll. It then won, which was great, and yeah, really pleased it was the winner. I mean, they're kind of described in a lot of places as math rock. I don't think I really buy that. To me, it's more sitting in the kind of emo indie genre, I suppose. This Brooklyn band who've been going for a bit, but haven't released anything for 5 years. So this is a bit of a comeback for them. The lyrics are really vague. I didn't get much from the lyrics, I've got to say, but the sort of feeling of these songs is just incredibly the playback ability, if that's a word, is definitely there on this album, and so many of the songs I've just wanted to come back to. Probably the poppiest is the opening track, End of the World, which is kind of a very warm, inviting indie tune. Let's try to kind of hold on to goodness in life, it seems. And then we have Part of the Problem, which I really liked and actually reminded me of one of the artists on Kylie's roster, Strange Magic. I thought it had that sort of feel to it, this kind of slacker indie emo-ish fusion. But what I liked about that one is the build to this big rock arrangement. So generally the songs are quite languid and laid back, but they're always bubbling and then going into something bigger, which I really liked in general. And then the other sort of main track from this album I enjoy was Bad News, which is again has this sort of ominous vibe to it. Seems to be giving advice to a loved one and warning them about their lifestyle or whatever they're doing. Get out of there. It seems to be it could work for maybe a horror film or something of them being in a house they shouldn't be in or something. But yeah, it also has this feeling of tenderness and caring about it, looking out for someone. So yeah, in general, like I say, just sort of diving into an artist which was a real kind of leap of faith, I suppose. It was one which I think paid back in droves, and it's a little over half an hour. It just very much in that snackable zone, to use parlance of previous pods, and one I return to loads, and then like I say, glad I've got into them. Need to spend a bit of time to go back a bit further into their discography and see how sort of representative this is, but yeah, this was a really strong album for me, in a good month, I would say. So Carl, you were nodding along to what I was saying, so I think I'll move on to you next to sort of see what you think of Doppelgänger.
Yeah, I mean, I was going to start by thanking D-Mob Happy for pushing their album release back. So...
Actually, yes, sorry, that is a point of order. D-Mob Happy or if they, maybe at Easter time, they won the poll, but in between doing the poll, them winning, and then checking the release date, they pushed back their release date to February, which then we did add them to the February poll, but they didn't win that, so they're not going to be part of this. We would have been speaking about them if they'd stuck to their original date. So let that be a lesson. D-Mob happy. So Peaer didn't win the poll, but was second. So by default, here we are. So, yeah.
But yeah, I mean, like I said, got to thank D-Mob Happy for doing that, because we wouldn't have had this great album on our slate this month. Really enjoyed this one, similar to you. A band I didn't know for this month, but sonically just right up my street. Yeah, I mean, End of the World you mentioned straight away kind of pulls you in. Reminded me a bit of Weezer. That one, like you said, it's a bit pop, but it's still got like that bit of a grunge swagger to it, and that alt rock sound. I think it's a really great opening track. Flows straight into Part of the Problem, which is, as you say, like a bit more melancholic. It's got that 90s rock, Ben's era Radiohead sound going on that, we've heard Wonder Horse and Fontaine's kind of to like channel in their recent output as well. So it's very much like the sound at the moment. Absolutely love that song. Like you say, that guitar solo at the end of the track, when it comes in, just really love that. And I know you said you can't really hear the math rock coming in, but just because for me is where you get very much like that American football crossover of Midwest emo and a bit of like math rock in terms of the guitar like timings on there. And again, it's just a different flavor. So like in the first three songs, they give you like, a bit of Weezer, a bit of Radiohead, a bit of American football, which, if you've seen the pod, that's going to always be a positive for me, referencing those bands with their sound. And then, yeah, from that point onwards, I think they just kill it. You've got, like the crashing drums and seismic riffs on Rose in My Teeth, the folky harmonies and the bass line of Button, which I thought was almost like a bit like early Fleet Foxes sound going on. Then we get I Don't Want to Be Without You, which is obviously shortened to just the letters on the album track list, but it's this really melancholic, really stripped back heartbreak song. It's a bit more minimalist compared to like the tracks that came before. And then the other one I wanted to mention was Future Me right at the end, which reminded me a bit of Foxin, which maybe not the Foxin that Andrew. Like I know you've only heard like their ultra heavy side, but like some of their mellower cuts on their earlier records. Again, I could definitely hear that coming through, which, as you say, like that kind of emo indie sound, definitely going on. And it's a really great closer. I think that Future Me, it's almost like this lo-fi tale of self-deprecation, but there's also like a message of perseverance in there as well. It kind of flicks between the two. It doesn't know whether to like pick himself up and go again, or just tell him that he's done an awful job. I don't know. It's like a really intriguing when you look at the lyrics of it. But yeah, I just really like this record. So yeah, great pick, Andrew. Glad it prevailed in the poll. If it didn't instantly win, but it prevailed, which is the main thing. And yeah, I think the main selling point I think for this album is that it serves up all these different flavors of alt rock music. Pretty much nails all of them throughout the course of, like you say, like this cohesive 30-minute listen. That kind of looks at like themselves, life, love, like the mad world that we're in today, and like bad news and end of the world. It's kind of looking inward, it's kind of looking outward. But yeah, that sonically, I think that's where it really shines as well. With those sounds it puts together. So yeah, big thumbs up from me for this one.
It reminded me of Owen as well, but that's probably because I don't have the American football references like you do.
Yeah. It's definitely got the math rock tunings of early American football in there. Yeah.
Yeah. So we got two happy campers with Doppelgänger. What did you make of it, Adam?
I think this is one that it didn't blow me away immediately, but I think there's a lot to it that I can appreciate. I think it's one of those records that for me, it needs to kind of sort of grow on me because there is a lot kind of going on, and I think it's crazy that they've managed to fit so much within 30 minutes. Um, because like you say, all the kind of different genres they switch between like happen within the same songs. Um, so I found myself like just surprised throughout the entirety of the record when they suddenly went like insanely heavy and oh, there's an insane guitar solo happening now and stuff like that. Um, it's interesting the bands that you guys have sort of pinpointed them towards. Like for me, it was Dinosaur Jr. and more the 90s era, like Jay Maskis sort of era. Um, just because of that combination of like folksy, bluesy with the kind of grunge and I suppose emo and math rock genres. But yeah, I was pleasantly surprised. I was sort of not familiar with the band at all prior to this, but um, yeah, just really enjoyed how kind of mellow the album could be at parts, but then also, yeah, just couldn't wrap my head around, like the closing half of End of the World or, like Just Because as well, just because of just how vastly different it was between, the other songs on there. So yeah, it was definitely a surprising record for me and one that I will kind of return back to semi regularly.
Yeah. So maybe not quite as enthusiastic, but a good sort of listen nonetheless, and maybe more to
Mm,
unpack on future listens. So to see whether it would make your end of year list or not. So there we
absolutely.
go.